Hello everyone. Today in this video I'm going to be sharing an excerpt from the next book I will be publishing, Tim's Story, which is about a boy who becomes an orphan after his parents and grandparents are killed in a car crash. I was inspired to write it because of the song When Love Takes You In by contemporary Christian music artist Stephen Curtis Chapman. The song is about adoption, and that's where I got the basic idea for it. Go check out my All Details About Tim's Story video to learn all the details about the book. This excerpt will be of the entire first chapter. Unfortunately, I myself will not be reading it because the only kind of braille display I have is on the BrailleSense Polaris, my one note taker, which I am currently using to make this video. And if I leave the camera application for any reason, it'll stop the video, so I can't read it myself. What I will be using is my other note taker, a Voice Note Apex, which is part of the Braille Notes family of products from Humanware. The Voice Note Apex just has a text-to-speech engine. It does not have a braille display, so the computerized voice you hear will be the TTS of the Voice Note Apex. It's pretty easy to understand, so I'm hoping you will be able to understand it. So, without further ado, here is the entire first chapter of Tim's story. I hope you enjoy it.
Chapter 1. It was April 29th, 2014, Timothy Anderson's 10th birthday. When he awoke, he gave himself a few minutes to wake up. Once he was fully awake, he headed for the kitchen where he found his mom. Mary was making his birthday breakfast, which consisted of eggs, bacon, toast, sausage, and milk. When she saw that he had entered the kitchen, she turned around and said, "Oh, hi Tim. Did you sleep well?" Mary Ruth Anderson is 36 years old. She is a slender woman with a high-soothing voice, brown eyes, and red hair. "Yes," Tim said as he stretched and yawned. Timothy James Anderson is a slender boy with brown eyes and red hair. "Great. Happy birthday, buddy," she said as she gave him a kiss. "Thanks, Mom. I love you." "You're welcome. I love you too. Breakfast will be ready in 5 minutes." "Okay." Tim sat down at the kitchen table. A few minutes later, Tim's dad, Mark, came into the kitchen and sat down at the table. He said, "Good morning, Tim. Happy birthday." Mark Philip Anderson is also 36 years old. He has a somewhat deep voice, brown eyes, a medium build, and brown hair. "Thanks, Dad. I love you," Tim said as he gave him a hug. Mark hugged him back and said, "You're welcome. I love you too, buddy." They ate breakfast. A few hours later, Tim said, "I know Matthew, Paul, and Daniel are too busy to come over to celebrate my birthday, but that's all right." "We know. Their parents told us," Mark said. Mary added, "I'm sure you'll see them at school tomorrow." "Yeah, they gave me my presents the other day." "That's good," Mark said. Tim asked, "Are Grandma and Grandpa coming home?" "Yes, in fact, they'll be here soon," Mary said. 2 hours later, Tim's grandparents, Bill and Margaret Patterson, arrived. As he gave Tim a big hug, Bill said, "Happy birthday, Tim." Bill Patterson is 61 years old. He is a tall, slender man with black hair and brown eyes. "Thanks, Grandpa." "You're welcome." "Happy birthday, buddy," Margaret said as she gave him a hug and kiss. Margaret Patterson is 62 years old. She is a short, chubby woman with brown hair and brown eyes. "Thanks, Grandpa." "You're welcome." Margaret and Bill then gave Tim their gifts. He, "Thanks, Grandpa." "Thanks, Grandpa. I love you both so much." "You're welcome. I love you too, Tim," Bill said. Margaret said, "You're very welcome. I love you so much, buddy." Tim looked at his parents and said, "Hey, what did you get me, Mom and Dad?" "It's a surprise," Mary said. Mark added, "Yeah, in fact we are still working on getting it." "Oh, when will I find out what it is?" "Soon," Mark said. Tim nodded. They then enjoyed each other's company until 8 p.m. Margaret said, "Well, I think it's about time we head home." "Yeah," Bill said. "Bye, Grandma. I love you," Tim said as he gave her a hug and kiss. "Bye, buddy. I love you too." "Bye, Grandpa. I love you," Tim said as he gave him a hug. "Bye, Tim. I love you too." "I'll see you guys out," Mark said. He walked outside with them. Bill asked, is everything all set up for the trip in June? Almost. I just have to reserve the hotel rooms and then we're all set. Great, Margaret said. Bill said, Jim's going to be so excited. Yes, he is. Well, I'll see you guys later. They said goodbye to Mark and headed home. Mark watched as they drove away. Once they were out of sight, he went back inside. By the time Mark came back into the house, Tim was no longer downstairs. Where did Tim go? Up to his room to watch TV. After a pause, Mary whispered, is everything all set up? Bill and Margaret had the same question. Almost. All that's left for me to do is reserve the hotel rooms. Mary smiled and said, wonderful. Tim is going to flip out. Most definitely. He's going to love it, that's for sure. Around 10 p.m. Mary and Mark turned in for the night. Tim was already fast asleep in his bed. The next day during recess at school, Tim had a conversation with Matthew, Paul, and Daniel. Matthew said, so, Tim, how was your birthday? Matthew Noah Hill is 11 years old. He is a somewhat tall, slender boy with brown hair and blue eyes. It was great. That's good. Daniel asked, did your grandparents come over? Daniel Jacob Harris is 10 years old. He is a short, slender boy with black hair and brown eyes. Yeah. Great. Paul asked, what did your parents get you? Paul Aaron Miller is 10 years old. He is a short, slightly chubby boy with brown eyes and brown hair. I don't know. What do you mean? Matthew asked. They wouldn't tell me. Paul asked, why not? I'm not sure. All they would tell me is that it's a surprise. Daniel asked, do you have any idea of what it could be? No, I haven't got a clue. When will you find out what it is? Matthew asked. All my dad would say is that I'd find out soon. I hope I don't have to wait too much longer though. Paul, Matthew, and Daniel nodded in agreement. Tim went on, I can't wait to find out what it is. I bet. It must be something pretty awesome if they're making you wait. Paul said. Daniel said, I agree. Yeah, Tim said. Not long after their conversation was over, recess ended. A few hours later, school let out. Upon returning home, Tim did his homework, and after dinner, he played the piano, which is in the living room, for an hour. He is very proficient at the piano. He has been playing since he was 5. He took lessons for 4 years, and when he had his final lesson, after his teacher realized how proficient he was, his teacher told him to make sure he continued playing as often as he could. He took his teacher's advice and plays the piano for an hour every day. After he finished playing the piano, he went up to his room and watched TV until it was time for him to get ready for bed at 9 p.m. He got a shower. After the shower, he put his pajamas on. After he was dressed, he brushed his teeth, and after he was finished, he went to his parents' room. He said, good night, Mom. Good night, Dad. I love you. Mark said, good night. Love you, buddy. Good night, buddy. I love you too. Before leaving their room, he walked over and hugged them. He left their room and headed back to his. He shut the door and turned off the TV and lights. He climbed into bed and fell asleep a few minutes later. It was now May 31st. Tim and his parents were enjoying the beautiful Saturday afternoon sitting on the front porch. Tim said, hey Mom and Dad, how come a lot of my clothes are missing from my dresser? Mark and Mary looked at each other. Mary said, I think it's time we told him. Yeah, Mark agreed. Told me what? Tim asked with great curiosity. Mark said, well, it's about your birthday present from us. You mean the surprise you talked about is finally ready? Mark nodded. What is it? After a short pause, Mark said, first, Tim, let me ask you something. Okay. Have you ever wanted to go to CMA Music Fest? Oh yes, I've always wanted to, but it is far too expensive. Maybe one day I'll be able to go. Not one day, Mark said. What do you mean? Tim said, sounding confused. You won't get to go one day. How about you go tomorrow? What are you saying? Tim asked with even more confusion and slight excitement. Your mother and I are taking you. That's our birthday gift to you. A trip to CMA Music Fest. Tim got really excited at hearing this. He got a big smile on his face. He stood up and ran over to Mary and Mark. He gave both of them great big hugs. After doing this, he gave both of them a big kiss. He began to cry because he was so happy. Through his tears of joy, he said, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I love you both so much. You guys are the best parents a kid could ask for. They both embraced Tim as he continued to cry. Mark said, thank you, buddy. I love you so much. He kissed Tim's forehead. Mary said, thanks, buddy. I love you so much too. She kissed Tim's right cheek. We are very glad to do this for you, Tim, Mark said. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Tim finally stopped crying. Mary and Mark gave Tim one final hug and kiss, and the three of them went back inside to eat dinner. After dinner, they spent time just relaxing on the living room couch. Tim broke the long silence and said, I am so excited I don't know if I'll be able to go to sleep tonight. Well, you should try, Mary said. Yeah, Mark said. I'm sure before you know it you'll be asleep. Okay, well, I'm going to go watch some TV for a little while. Okay, buddy, don't forget to brush your teeth before bed. I won't. After a pause he continued, I love you guys. He gave each of them a hug and kiss. We love you too, Tim, Mark said. Tim went up to his room and watched TV. After he left, Mark and Mary went to their room. Mary said, was Tim's reaction more than you were hoping for? Oh yes. And what about you? Was his reaction all you were hoping for? Yes, it was. It was even better than what I was expecting. Mark nodded. Mary went on, Tim really is an amazing person full of love and kindness. Yeah, he is a wonderful son, and we are truly blessed to have him. Mary nodded. Around 10 p.m. Tim went into the bathroom and brushed his teeth. After he was finished, he went to his parents' room. He knocked on the door. Come in, Tim, Mark said. He came in the room. What did you want? To tell you guys good night. Good night, Tim, Mark said. Good night, Dad. Mary said, good night, honey. Good night, Mom. Did you brush your teeth? Mary asked. Yes. Good. After a pause, Mary went on, your grandparents are going with us. Awesome. That makes me happy, Tim said with a smile. He walked over to them. He gave his dad a hug and kiss. I love you, Dad. I love you too. He then gave his mom a hug and kiss. I love you, Mom. I love you too, honey. Now try and get some sleep. Okay, I'll try. Tim left their room and headed back to his. He closed the door and got into his pajamas. He turned off the lights and climbed into bed. He had a hard time falling asleep that night because he was so excited about leaving for Nashville in the morning. After trying for nearly an hour, Tim finally fell asleep. Tim awoke at 8 a.m. on Sunday, June 1st. He went downstairs and had breakfast with his parents. After breakfast, Mark and Mary loaded up all the suitcases in the car while Tim watched TV. At 9 a.m., Mark and Mary finally finished loading up the car. They went inside and rested for a while as Tim continued to watch TV in his room. An hour later, Tim, Mark, and Mary got into the car and began their trip to Nashville, Tennessee for CMA Music Fest. A few minutes after being on the road, they picked up Bill and Margaret. Bill and Margaret put their suitcases in the car and got in. They then continued on their way. They decided not to eat lunch so they could ensure they'd get to Nashville and their hotel before check-in hours were up at 3 p.m. After being on the road for a while, Tim said, I know I've already said this several times, but thanks a lot, Mom and Dad, for taking me to CMA Music Fest. This is the best surprise you have ever given me. Mark laughed and said, I know. You're welcome. The money it costs is well worth it to make you happy, and besides your mother and I are huge fans of country music too. Isn't that right, Mary? Yes, Mary said with a smile. They arrived in Nashville later that day. They checked into the hotel at 2:30 p.m. A few minutes later, they made it to their hotel rooms. Mark, Mary, and Tim had the room across the hall from Bill and Margaret. After getting settled in their room, Tim said, CMA Music Fest doesn't start until June 5th. What will we do until then? Mark said, go sightseeing. Yes, there's a lot we can do in the city to fill up the days leading up to June 5th. Mary said. Tim asked, can we try and get tickets to tonight's Grand Ole Opry show? Sure, I will go out and try to get tickets right now, Mark said. Gee, thanks, Dad, Tim said as he hugged him. You're welcome. Mark left the hotel to try and get the Opry tickets. An hour later he returned. Tim said, were you able to get tickets? I sure was. Enough for all of us? Mary asked. Yes. Yes, Tim said with great excitement. Later that night, they enjoyed the performances at the Grand Ole Opry. After the show was over, they enjoyed a great dinner at a restaurant. After dinner, they returned to their respective hotel rooms. Tim watched TV with his parents until 10 p.m. At 10, they got in bed and fell asleep in 5 minutes. On Monday morning, they had breakfast in the hotel and went sightseeing around Nashville, visiting all the various famous locations. At 11 a.m., they had lunch and continued their sightseeing tour of the city. At 5 p.m. they had dinner, and after they returned to the hotel they each relaxed in their respective hotel rooms until 10 p.m., at which time they went to bed. Over the next 2 days they looked around more of Asheville, taking a lot of great pictures. After finishing sightseeing on Wednesday night at 6 p.m. they ate dinner at another restaurant. After dinner they returned to the hotel. They turned in for the night at 10 p.m. Tim had trouble falling asleep, however, because he was very excited about the start of CMA Music Fest in the morning. He finally fell asleep a little after 11 p.m. The next morning Tim, Mary, Mark, Bill, and Margaret ate breakfast at a restaurant. After finishing breakfast they headed for CMA Music Fest. Throughout the 4-day festival Tim, his parents, and grandparents enjoyed the live music and meet and greets with all of their favorite stars. When everything was all said and done, Tim got to meet, see in concert, and get autographs from several of his favorite artists and groups. He got to see in concert, got to meet, and receive autographs from Keith Urban, Brad Paisley, Kenny Chesney, Alan Jackson, George Strait, Lanester, Rascal Flatts, and Emerson Drive. Once the 4-day party was over, they began their return trip to Cincinnati, Ohio. On the drive home, Tim was still excited over getting to meet a few of his favorite country artists and groups. He said, "Man, that was such an amazing experience. I had a wonderful time. It's something I will never forget. I can't wait to tell all my friends once school starts up. I especially can't wait to tell Paul, Daniel, and Matthew. They will think it was so cool. Thanks Mom and Dad for doing this for me." "You're welcome," Mark said. Mary replied, "I'm so glad you had a good time, honey. Mom, I think I'd like to be a singer someday." "I know, and I think you'd be great at it because I've heard you sing to some of your favorite songs before. Do you think I have a good voice for my age?" "Yes, you have a very beautiful voice." "What about you, Dad?" "Yes, I do. You can do anything if you put your mind to it. And you have a wonderful voice." "Your dad's right, Tim. You can do anything as long as you don't give up and keep trying, especially if it's a dream of yours. I believe you could be a singer, a great one at that. And you have an amazing voice," Margaret said. Bill added, "Your dad, Mom, and Grandma are correct. You definitely have what it takes to be a great singer. And Tim, I think you have a great voice." "Gee, thanks Mom. Thanks Dad. Thanks Grandma. And thanks Grandpa. Everything you said means a lot." "You're very welcome," Mary said. "You're welcome, Tim," Mark said. "You're welcome, honey," Margaret said. Bill said, "You're welcome, Tim. And everything we said is the truth." Tim just nodded. By the time the Anderson family entered Cincinnati, Tim was asleep. There was a lot of traffic on the highway. As Mr. Anderson tried to change lanes, a car that was in the lane that they were changing to collided with their car at a high rate of speed. With how fast the car was going, there was no possible way Mr. Anderson could have gotten out of the way in time. The Anderson's car was hit so forcefully that it rolled on its side. Tim felt his heart jump up into his throat as the car rolled onto its side. The sudden sound of smashing glass startled him and made him worry, as he was losing consciousness, that he wouldn't live to see another birthday surprise. After the collision, the entire Anderson family, along with the driver of the other car, were all taken to the hospital. The crash was so bad that none of the doctors expected any of them to survive.
Well, there you have it, everyone. That was the entire first chapter of Tim's story. I hope you were able to understand the text-to-speech voice of the Apex. I hope you enjoyed the excerpt, and I will see you guys soon.